most people are afraid to fully be themselves. They're afraid to embrace the parts of themselves that might be regarded as unacceptable, because embracing these unacceptable parts makes them feel uncomfortable. So to escape this uncomfortableness, they divide themselves into two halves, conscious and unconscious. In the conscious half, they construct an ideal image of themselves, an image formed out of the bits and pieces of their past that they deem as good and acceptable. And as a result, in the unconscious half, they repress the parts of themselves that they view as bad and unacceptable. In Jungian psychology, this repressed part of the personality is called the shadow. And unless the shadow's integrated into the personality, a person can never reach their fullest potential. Instead, one will always remain incomplete, fractured, and partial, living a life of regret rather than the full life that could have been imagined. For example, that I've solved a few equations and convinced myself that I'm a great mathematician. I might meet a few friends and they tell me that they have a math club. They gather every weekend and try to have a crack at math's most difficult problems. This scares me because if I join, I'll no longer get to be the great mathematician that I convinced myself I am. Instead, I'll be a concrete person with actual strengths and weaknesses. And in this scenario, there are two possible actions I can take. The first action is to run from my shadow and let it grow. I refuse to join the math club and realize my own weaknesses as a mathematician. I get to cling to the ideal image of myself as a great mathematician. But as a result, I lose the opportunity to actually become one. The second action is to come into contact with my shadow and integrate it. I joined the math club and realized that I'm not the great mathematician that I thought I was in the short term. This hurts. I discovered that I'm not very good at geometry, but also that I excel in differential equations. I become measured with my colleagues. I have an actual place and rank among other mathematicians. In reality, I realize I'm not the great mathematician I thought I was. But now I open up the possibility of actually becoming one. I can actually improve my skills and rank in the long run. This ends up being the best decision I've ever made. See, in a way, we often prefer to be pure potential. We convince ourselves we could be whatever we want to be, but don't actively work to actually be something. We just comfort ourselves with the idea that we could be something if we wanted to. This is because when we work towards something, we start feeling our weight in the world. We're measured and ranked, we're quantified and actual, and this actual reality is often less pleasurable to live in than our ideal fantasy. But it's real, not a fantasy, and reality can be improved. But a life of fantasy always ends in tragedy. The path to self-improvement starts with self-acceptance. Only by embracing and integrating our shadow, by accepting the ugly parts of ourselves, by becoming who we're afraid to be, can we reach our fullest potential. But if we reject our shadow, if we pick and choose the parts of our past personality and behavior that we like and repress the parts of ourselves, we fear we become incomplete and partial, and instead of living a full whole life, we live one full of regrets. But it's up to you to decide in Jungian terms. Will you embrace your shadow or reject it? Would you rather fail in actuality or succeed in mere hypotheticals? And if you're interested in accessing more insights from great thinkers, I highly recommend checking out this week's sponsor, One Dream. You may have heard me mention the Great Courses Plus before and how they can help you access wisdom from some of the best professors in the world. But they recently took that experience to a whole new level and rebranded as Plus 11. Dream has a massive collection of courses that are academically comprehensive, thoroughly researched, entertaining, and presented by experts. I'm always looking to continue to learn about new topics and grow new ways, and Wand makes this easy by continuing to add new content to their platform every month. I personally love listening to philosophy lectures on One while I'm exercising or driving because it allows me to get a high-quality information in an entertaining and effective way. Right now, I'm enjoying a course on the great ideas of philosophy taught by Dr. Daniel and Robinson. One mind-blowing thing I learned from his course is that Socrates was a soldier. I think this defies the common image people have of him as someone who has their head in the clouds and is removed from the practicalities of life. Socrates began philosophizing after he had defended Athens in many wars, and his philosophy grew out of those life experiences. You can get access to your free trial by going to com/freedom or by clicking the link in the description below. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.